Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Tube. We are thrilled to have the incredible Jason with us today from Super Teas. If you haven't heard of Super Teas, I guarantee you by the end of today's episode, not only are you going to know exactly who they are, you're going to find out the history of where it began, and we are also going to get an exclusive of things that are coming up for Super Teas. Yes, I hear you getting very excited. So stay tuned and see what unfolds. Welcome, Jason. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
joining us.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure.
No worries. I would just love to start with one, what is Super Teas for people who don't know, and how did it begin?
But that's a really tough question because I've never quite got the perfect answer for that. What is a super tee? Well, I know that it's not a hospital gown,
Yes,
and it's way cooler than any t-shirt.
definitely.
What is it? It's a medical garment disguised as a hero costume. That's what it
Mm-hmm.
is. And this
Yeah.
is what we give to children in hospitals, in and out of hospitals, but kids, very brave kids that live that hospital life.
Yes. As a recipient, obviously indirectly, it's not for me personally, although I do wish that you did do it for adults too. I would love to wear something nicer than those horrible hospital gowns. Ezra loves his Super Tee. And it takes some of that fear away that is associated with having to attend hospital, which I guess works twofold, right? Because there are kids that are in hospital chronically for long periods of time, or there are kids like Ezra that are in and out of hospital for different surgeries, different procedures, things like that. So it kind of works on two levels, which is pretty spectacular.
Yeah, it's been quite an interesting journey with the Super T. As you've mentioned, there's not only the practicality of it, but it's seeing if we can try and invoke a bit of a mental shift, a different type of psychological edge for children. And this is what I find fascinating. It's the power of play, that strength through imagination.
Yes. Being able to feel like they can transform into something different. You know what I mean? And not feel like a hospital patient.
Well, we do that as adults, don't we? When
Yeah,
we get dressed up,
absolutely.
when we
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
love a good
I would
dress-up
challenge
party.
any man that has been invited to a black tie event that
Yeah.
gets to wear the tuxedo when they adjust the bow tie in front of the mirror. I mean, come on, be honest. Who do you
Bond.
think you look like?
I am James Bond in that moment.
Exactly.
I agree. I agree with you. Is there a personal connection for you that led you down the road of Super Teas?
Yeah, if we wind back the clock many years ago, when we were celebrating my daughter's first birthday, a couple of weeks after, we noticed a change in her. Her name's Angela. At the time, I was a construction worker. I was the person that came in and put silicone around tiles, baths, and toilets. It wasn't the best job in the world, but paid the bills. She suddenly became unwell and ended up at the children's hospital. It took them 4 days of testing. On the afternoon of the fourth day, they gave us the worst news you can imagine. A rare type of cancer called a LCH is what she had, and 1 in 100,000 children got what
Mm.
she got. They gave her a 20 to 25% chance of survival,
Oh my
and what
goodness.
started was the 3-year battle. Anything that could go wrong went wrong for her with reactions, infections, relapses. Hospital became our first home, and I couldn't fix this. I couldn't
Yeah.
do it. I was desperate for help. That psychological trauma that it puts parents through, where there's just so much happening when your world is turned upside down. We afford to keep the family home because one parent's no longer working, coming home to an empty house where the lights are off,
Mm.
it's cold, the duster's collecting on toys. It's lifeless and it's tearing you apart slowly and slowly as time goes by. And just that need or that desperation to make any type of difference, to stand up and say, no, I'm not taking this. I want to
Yeah.
push back. So
Yeah.
that's where it starts. It starts from the desire for a parent that's had enough and said, no, I want to start pushing back. I want to start making a difference. And there were parents that were creating things already in hospital. I remember my daughter had a central line, and a mother made a beautiful little pouch to hang around her neck to hold up the central line.
That's beautiful.
And it wasn't just us going through all these battles in hospital. There were other families. You get to meet them, you get to know them,
Yes.
and you learn of their battles, what they're facing. And the common
Hmm.
challenge was, how do we keep our children clean and hygienic in hospital when they have all these wires and tubes connected? Out of frustration one day, after they gave Angela chemo, I said to a nurse, rather loudly, why haven't they made something easier for us to change our kids without your help?
Hmm.
Now I have something I can fix.
You do. You've got something tangible that is changing lives of so many kids. And you're right, it's not just the kids, it's the families, it's the parents that it makes the difference. And it does. Like I speak firsthand, it does make a difference. It makes a huge difference. And what an incredible legacy to have that.
Well, what I'm proud of is that there would be no Super T today without parents like yourself. It was parents, it was nurses, it was a lovely lady that lived nearby that did alterations for school uniforms. It was perhaps 200 attempts to try and figure out the right type of medical garment. Never charged me a dollar. Didn't charge me a dollar.
Bless.
She said, "No, if I accept your money, you take my blessing away."
Yeah, okay.
It was
That's
deeply
a really
religious.
beautiful way of looking at it.
Yeah.
That's really beautiful.
We created a more practical garment that was able to bypass everything. And just for your listeners to understand, it's what we created was a sandwich. It was two pieces of clothing that clipped together with plastic
Yes.
press studs, and it was able to bypass all the medical equipment. During the time that we were tinkering away, I became a father again to a beautiful little boy. His name's
Amazing.
his name's Tio. He grew up in a household full of anxiety and emergency
I can
trips.
imagine.
He saw things that no little brother should really see. He became a superhero fanatic. He's got all the toys and seen all the movies and costumes. So that he inspired the superhero idea because one day when we were getting ready to go see Mummy and Angela at the hospital, he emerges into the bedroom dressed as a superhero. And when I asked him, "What are we doing here? Who are we saving?" he said his sister's name.
That's so beautiful. It's so
Yeah, it
beautiful.
really highlights the impact it has on siblings. You
Yeah.
know, they
Yeah.
go through the battle, they see it as well. What can they do? What he showed me was not only do we need to make something more practical, we have to challenge the meaning behind it. I'm sure your listeners will agree, hopefully, and you will as well, that the
Yes.
hospital gown has become a symbol of illness.
Absolutely.
And this is what we give people we love in hospital. They already feel sick. Now you look
Mhm.
sick. Here's your hospital gown. It's
Yep.
official. We work a lot with local clubs, RSL and sporting clubs that help us provide these to families for free. I asked them, would you ever allow anyone to enter the club wearing a hospital gown? And they say no.
Interesting question. Interesting question.
Can we challenge the meaning behind it from someone being sick to someone being brave, from someone being unwell to being strong? What was so fascinating was this study I came across where they got a bunch of kids, they brought them into a room, and inside this room was a table chair with a plastic box on this table that had locked door on it. You could see through it.
Mhm.
And there was a toy inside. They handed these kids one by one a bunch of keys and they said, if you can find the key that unlocks the door, you can have the toy inside.
Okay.
But the trick was none of the keys worked. It was a cruel study when you think about it.
That's so mean.
They wanted to measure how long until children gave up. And what was fascinating was what happened when they started to put costumes on the children. It doubled the amount of persistence time and they wanted to know why. When we came across
Interesting.
this, yeah, when we came across this, we realized we're not making a medical garment, we're making a costume first.
Mhm.
And that's where the name Super T came from.
That's incredible. I didn't know that. I didn't realize that. That's so interesting. Wow. But, like, logically, you think about that when you just put your kid in a dress up costume. And they transform into something different. They become a different character. They have more courage, they have more strength, they have more bravery, whatever it is. Maybe it's a combination of everything. It completely makes sense that that would increase their tenacity and want to be able to succeed at this challenge because they've put something on. And equally, if you were to do that in a hospital setting, that would also change the way that kids face these challenges.
I never forget what a nurse said to me when she was telling me about why Super Ts matter to her. She
Yes,
says, I give these children choice. There's not a lot of choice for them. They can
that's right.
choose whether they want to eat, sleep, what to watch on their tablet. Apart from that, if something needs to happen, it's going to happen. What you've given us, what hero do you want to become? And we're going to go through those doors together.
That's, I mean, mind blowing, truly. And we often talk about this with Ezra, and I'm sure that you've experienced this yourself, and that other people listening have also felt this. That for Ezra, so much of his life has been out of his control. So he gets very aggressive almost with the things that he can control because it's such a small part of his life. So the things that he can take control of and do for himself, he is going to do that because that's 5% of his life. So again, this gives them that open door in a what is a scary it's scary for adults. Adults are scared going to hospital.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how many times you do it. It's scary. So how does that feel for a child when you're small and not just in stature but in experience in life and in the world to not have any control over that? You have to go to hospital. You have to have this treatment. You have to have this surgery. You have to have this, whatever it may be. They don't have that choice. But what Super T does is give them an opportunity. It also helps them to transform into something different. It kind of reminds me of when you're having a baby and they say to you as a woman, leave your dignity at the door and pick it up on your way out. Kind of feels similar to me in that respect. You can take your super T and you can transform and become this incredible superhero. And that's who you can identify as whilst you're in this scary setting. And then when you leave, you're back to who you were outside of that hospital setting. So you kind of have like this double persona, but it feels safe. Because to me, it feels safe.
That is exactly what the alter ego is.
Yes,
We all know when we go to the effort of dressing up, it changes the way we feel. How
absolutely.
you look and feel matters. And so, what they've discovered is that it places something they call psychological distance between them, the child, and the task, MRI, surgery doors, needle, what have you. Because between them now is the impersonation of the character that they portray.
Okay.
The superhero, they know that it's a competent, reliable, wins the day, superpowers, and they pretend their way through everything. And it's amazing. It's incredible. And so what we've realized is that for these children, you're absolutely right. There's not a lot of choice for them. But give them the choice. Hey, I want to be the ballerina. No, give me the superhero. I want to be the space commander.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, it becomes this world of imagination. There's a movie that I think is the closest I can get to explaining what we're trying to do here. I
Mhm.
don't know if you've seen it, and if you haven't seen it, you're very welcome. This movie is on my top 3.
Okay.
It's called
Okay.
Life is Beautiful.
I have heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
Please watch
I
that
will add it
movie.
to my watch list.
Not to give too much away, but it's about
Yes,
a father and son being thrown in a concentration camp during World War II. Now, for the father, he knows the horrors that are happening in this concentration camp, but he maintains his child's innocence through play.
incredible. In such a scary and horrific situation.
Watch this movie. You will understand after. You can see
Okay.
what Jason's trying to do. And this is
Yes,
what we're trying to bring that power of imaginative play to children. I try to think about it from the perspective of a child. I try to understand how I would feel. They don't understand, depending on how young they are, of course. Why are these things happening to me? Why do they keep happening to me? Why are children playing in the playground down below and I can't go?
mhm,
Is the next person coming through the door going to hurt me?
yep, 100%.
I just imagine that constant fear. There's no wonder that these children walk away with all these types of trauma. I think whatever we can do to try and give them a psychological edge, they
Yes,
must face them, but face it as a hero because you're recognized as such. And they
yes,
understand that.
that's right, and taking that label of patient away.
Yes, you're not a patient, you're a hero. You deserve the same amount of respect as you would any hero. I mean,
Yes,
I'm sure, particularly for your listeners, you need bravery and courage to walk through surgery doors.
mhm,
It takes a lot to hand your child over to a nurse or a doctor and walk out those doors alone. It takes bravery and courage.
mhm,
Every day this is happening in hospitals around our country. All we do is provide the costume. They're already
yeah.
superheroes.
Yeah, that's right, that's right. It just helps them to find association because they don't realize it's already inside them, which is, pretty spectacular to think of our little people like that. And I do think of that. And it's definitely shifted my perspective now being a medical parent, around when I see kids who have a disability or they have a medical concern going on, whether that's something that's long term or short term, my perspective as an adult has shifted. So that when I see those kids, I think, man, you're a warrior. You are so impressive to me, rather than feeling that pity, which I think is comes from a place of love when people think that. I don't think that it's coming from a bad place, but they don't understand. So that helps, I think, to provide people with an opening to look at this from a different perspective.
One of the most touching things I've learned recently, and I don't know if you did this when you finished school, but did you get your school friends and teachers to sign your school jersey?
Absolutely, of course.
What I'm finding, because these super teas, right, they come in a biscuit tin. If it's
Yes, they
thick enough
do.
to protect your biscuits, they can protect a medical garment is the idea. And it
Mhm.
comes with all these activities and a handwritten card from the donor.
Yes.
It's a way for us to bring them closer together.
Mhm.
What I've learned in one particular hospital, that when a child is fortunate enough to go home and their treatment has finished, they get the nurses, they get the doctors to sign their super,
That's so cool.
and it
That's
goes
really
back in that
cool.
tin. Yeah, but, I think about that. For us parents whose children, they're growing, they've got
Yes.
conditions,
Yeah.
and now they're facing the challenges of could be preteen, teenager, in addition to everything else that they must face. And then that doubt starts to come in. Let's imagine that they're trying to learn how to ride a bike, for instance. Dad, I don't think I can do this. And then you show them what they've overcome so far to
Yes.
get here.
Yes. Yep, exactly right. Now, I have had a little birdie tell me, just whisper in my ear, that there may be some new and exciting things coming through in the Super Tea range. Do you have anything you could share with us, Jason?
Look, you twisted my arm. You twisted my arm. So I think it's important for everyone to know that the super tee, as much as it is a costume and a medical garment, the idea is, can we create innovative products and services that alleviate the discomfort and distress that children experience in hospital? That's our
Mhm.
mission. We want
Yes.
to make and do things that make a difference for our kids in hospital. So innovation for us it plays a major part. And for the super tee being a medical garment that is practical, it's fun, it's engaging, it's simple, yet caters for children with a lot of different conditions. How can we extend that where we can lead the way as into how better medical clothing should be? We're in that space that it sounds so strange to say. Hospital fashion? Wow. Does it exist? I don't know. We're finding out. We're
I think
finding
it
out.
does now for kids. Yes, it definitely does.
So we've learned a lot along the way. We launched back in June 2018.
Mhm.
We admittedly launched as a for profit for purpose, learning very quickly we had to become a charity, and we got our charity status. And that opened us up into partnerships with the likes of, say, the Walt Disney Company and what have you, where we have licensed designs. And now we're reaching that point where we're starting to expand the range. We've got superheroes, astronauts, ballerinas, and then we figured we can't stop there. We've got to continue on. Any hero
Mhm.
archetype should be available, more choice for children. So we're coming out with a tradie design this year, which I'm super excited about.
That's cool.
Tradies are heroes as well, but
Absolutely. You know
as
firsthand.
well, as if I'm not going to.
I know, right?
One of the other things that we're super excited about is we were looking at how can we improve the Super T even more.
Mhm.
So the way that it works is, I want you to imagine two pieces of clothing that clip together, as we mentioned, with these very precise press studs. They're plastic, so they can go through an MRI or PET scan machine,
Mhm.
depending on what your radiologist says. And we were figuring, well, hold on, these press studs, they work a little bit like Lego.
They do.
I wonder if we could create attachments that clip in between them. And I wonder if they could hold medical devices. So we've
Love
been
that.
trialing that. We've been trialing that for a number of years and we've cracked it. But we had to give it a name. And I'm
Yeah.
so happy with the name. They're called power ups. They power up your super tea.
That is so cool.
Yeah, we've got four of them coming out, and so there's
Yes.
one that I would love to share with you that I think would be
Mhm.
relevant for your community. So, the way that these power ups work is that obviously you need a super tee for it to attach to.
Mhm.
But the idea is that we now have a system that can cater for specific conditions that children have. For instance, if you've got a nasal gastric tube,
Yes.
that tube comes out of the nose of the child, it's taped to their cheek, and then they usually have it dangle over their shoulder on the back.
Mhm.
And I think there are these little pockets that you can purchase.
Mhm.
I often wonder, how would that feel if you laid down with that on your back?
Not very comfortable, I can
Not
imagine.
very comfortable. So then we got to work. We know that we've got shoulder studs. So we've created the power pouch. And
So
this is
cool.
yeah, this is a
That's
pouch
so
that
cool.
it will hold your nasal gastric tube.
That is amazing.
So we're coming up with 4 different items. The
Yes.
power pouch is one, it's a game changer. And this is
Yes.
one that adapts and blends into your super tea. Um,
Yes.
that children can now fully own. Like this is something that that will accompany them.
Mhm.
It looks great. We've designed it in a way that it reflects anything that promotes power within.
Yes. Yes.
So think of like video game icons and that sort of thing.
Cool.
So these power ups, they're looking to come out this year, but there's really no one else in the world that is looking at medical clothing the way that we are. How do we adapt this for all the different types of conditions and challenges that children face? You
Yes.
mentioned something earlier. You said yourself as an adult, you wouldn't mind better clothing available.
Mhm.
Now, we
Yeah.
cater for children ages 1 to 13.
Yes.
Another thing that we're trialing this year, and we've been researching this for a number of years, how would an adult version of the Super T look? And what we've learned is they're not too keen on the costumes, even though a lot of adults have said, "Are you sure?" And the feedback, yes, no to the costumes. Just don't let
Yes.
me look sick.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Don't make me feel I also think the word dignity comes to my mind.
Yes,
I'm 5 weeks post-op as we are recording this. Obviously, it'll be much later once this actually releases. I'm aware of that while I'm saying this, but I can very much relate to how I felt putting on this hospital gown. And the first thing the nurse said to me was, I have 2 gowns. One's 3XL and one's an extra small. I think the extra small might be a little bit tight for you, but the triple XL is going to be way too big. So not only did I have to get into a hospital gown, I had to get into a hospital gown that wasn't actually going to fit me properly. So do I go for the one that's gigantically enormous or do I go for the one that might be slightly too small? Thankfully, in the end, the one that was smaller did fit me comfortably and it was fine. But what a horrible thing to face when you're about to go into surgery. I have to wear this horrible gown that is made from this scratchy material that doesn't feel nice. I had to be completely naked underneath of that. And I felt like one wrong move and everyone was going to see everything.
spot on. Yeah, and you'll be arrested if it was back to front.
Right? Exactly. And I definitely wouldn't be allowed in the club. So, just throwing that in there.
You're absolutely right. Our loved ones deserve better. And
Yeah.
they've actually done a lot of studies that indicate that it can actually worsen the experience
I
for
could
people in the
absolutely agree
hospital.
with that.
Well, yeah, not only are you trying to recover, but you now want to go downstairs and grab something to eat.
Mm
And you're worried about how you looked. You
hmm. Mm hmm.
notice people are looking at you.
Yep.
You know what it means to wear this clothing.
Yes.
And so it's certainly not helping and it's certainly not practical and it doesn't help in your recovery.
No, it does
Hey,
not.
it's cheap, it's available, and it's what we're used to.
Well,
It's
we
the way
just
it's always
accept
been
it,
done.
don't we? We just go, well, this is what it's like to go into hospital, and I just have to live with that.
The biggest problem we face as a charity and a charity focused on innovation is that we're trying to challenge the status quo. We're trying to break through with new ideas, and it's just being faced with it's not needed, or I don't think it's a winner, or this is how things have always been done, or it's too expensive. It's not a question of we're anti gown, we're not anti hospital.
Yeah, that's right. Of course, of course.
We fully support our hospital staff, the clinicians, everything else. We just don't think the gown is needed anymore. There are
No,
better ways.
yes,
And so for our children in particular, the tubies, that among us that need to go in and out of hospital for certain reasons, there's got to be a way to adapt and cater for them.
yes, yep,
And can we do so in a way that actually, if you've got one,
yeah,
you're pretty badass?
yeah. I agree. So is this meaning that you're maybe gonna look into adults too?
I think it's inevitable. I think we really want to position ourselves as staying in that lane where we can change the way people look and feel.
Yes.
The feedback has been just give me something that I can wear in hospital, but also at the supermarket and not be looked at funny.
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
We're doing some pretty cool stuff at the moment, and you will see it come out. And I think the idea here is other countries are watching, you know,
Of course.
other countries are contacting us asking how to introduce it. We've got some people trying to copy, which is interesting and flattering and that
Yes.
sort of thing. But for us, we see this as a journey that will continue on where we always want to make and do things that improve the experience or the way that our loved ones fight in hospital. And can we improve the comfort? Can we start there?
Yes. Yes, I agree. Yeah, make it comfortable. I also think putting a hospital gown on has the opposite effect of what it's intended to do. I think it makes you feel more scared and less safe. I feel more scared. I feel like, "Oh my gosh, if they're going to get me to put a hospital gown on, something's really wrong with me."
Well put. And you're right. And that's what the studies indicate. I think for our children that are going through hospital, we've got to think of a way that, look, you know what I would love one day for a parent like yourself to say, Ezra is much older now, and we showed him his super T and we told him how he earned it. Because these
Yeah.
super Ts, they're not given to kids having their tonsils out.
No, no, no.
There's not that many that go around,
Yes.
and you can't
I
purchase
mean,
them.
it'd be great to get to that point, right? Like, it would be phenomenal that these
Yeah,
were just everywhere. This was the status quo. This was the baseline. This is it moving forward. But yes, you're right. At the moment, it's not practical
it
to be able to do that.
exactly. It will hopefully get there one day, but
I hope. Yeah.
super Ts, they're earned. You earn
Mhm.
it. You've been
Yeah.
given a super T because you are seen as a child that is very strong and brave. Why? Because
Mhm.
they must be.
Yes, that's right.
And so my hope is that the super T garnishes the same level of respect that any uniform in our community musters.
Yeah.
If you ever see a child wearing one, they deserve that high five. They deserve that recognition.
Yes.
And I love the stories that I'm hearing from these amazing, incredibly brave children, kids marching through those surgery doors, kids holding that arm out, um, kids knowing that they have a surgery coming up and they're wanting their favorite super tea packed.
Yeah. Yeah.
The nurses play along, the doctors play along, the parents have more control. They can change their children as often as they want. I'm hearing stories of parents changing their children whilst they're asleep.
Yes. Yeah. That's right. Because it's easier to do it.
It's gonna be interesting. I guess what we should do is I'll come back on your podcast perhaps in a couple of years' time. Let's
Yes.
see where we are, and
And
we'll
let's
see
see
if
how
we've
we
got the adult
progress.
out and everything
Yeah.
else.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Before we wrap up, I would just love to say that for people who are listening or watching, as it may be, they can follow you on social media and come along on the journey. But I think more importantly, for anyone who's listening, you might work for a major corporation, maybe even just a small business, and you want to get involved in helping what Jason is doing with Super Teas, you can. You can do what we received for Ezra, in this special little tin with a beautiful handwritten note from a staff member of a major club around our local area. So special. So, so special. So if your company is interested in making a significant change to children who are living with chronic illness or living with a terminal disease, whatever it may be, this is your moment to get involved in something that is innovative. It is now being replicated by other companies. Like, yes, you're right. Flattery, probably not doing it as well. You can get involved now. So please reach out. We're going to link everything in the show notes today so that you can get in contact with Jason and his team and you can get involved because this truly, truly is a worthwhile cause. And if you have family members who are looking to support, particularly our kids with tubes, these super teas, we're going to have something for NG tubes that nobody has ever created before. Like, perfect. Absolute game changer. These are things that our kids can sleep in at home as well. These are hugely impressive garments. I can't thank you enough, Jason, for what you've done, what you're continuing to do. I really look forward to the adult ones. I mean, look, hopefully I don't need it, but
Hopefully you don't need one.
I mean, hopefully I don't need it, but I really think it would be a game changer for adults as well. And yes, we have to have you back. There's just no question about it. And anytime that you have something new that you're bringing out, you've got to come back.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. To all the parents listening, we're thinking of you. This super tea is for you. If you ever need one, please ask your nurse at your local hospital. We exist as a charity to serve and support you. Keep your chins up. Keep fighting. We're thinking of you. We get up every morning because it's a privilege to help you.
I don't think we could finish on better words. So until the next time, stay safe and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.